Welcome to Beyond Speaking with Brian Lord, a podcast featuring deeper conversations with the world's top speakers.
So something a lot of people don't know is, you always have to do something new. Life keeps on going. You do this amazing thing with the Jamaican bobsled team. But what are you doing now in terms of that?
Well, you're absolutely right. My motto is keep on pushing, and so you always have to find a way to grow and to challenge yourself, because life is constantly evolving. Right, we're always creating new normals, as it were. And so, I have gone from just being a competitor on the team to the guy who is now responsible for developing the next generation of Jamaican bobsledders. And we do have this vision, this idea that we can, in fact, win an Olympic bobsled medal for Jamaica. So we're still pushing forward to try and achieve that.
Now, how do you put that vision forward to the next generation?
I think you tell a story first of where we came from, and I guess in a way I'm dating myself. Some of them weren't around when I was competing. Wow, that's going back a ways. But also get them in touch with the real reason why they wanted to join the team in the first place, and to bring that to the broader aspect of how Jamaica is seen in the Olympics, how Jamaicans want to be remembered in the Olympics, and the special opportunity that they have as Winter Olympians from Jamaica to do something that nobody else, not even myself and the other guys on the 88 team, have done yet, which is to win an Olympic bobsled medal.
Mm-hmm. Now, in an effort to do this, I'm sure I'm not the first person to suggest this to you, but have you ever thought of asking any of the current Summer Olympians, possibly a Mr. Usain Bolt, if he would think about crossing over to be a Winter Olympian?
We asked him. We were doing a shoot 2-3 years ago, actually, and we asked him, and he goes, "No, it's too cold."
It's too cold.
And this was before he had definitely said he was retiring in 2017. I think at the time he was going to retire in 2016, and I go, hey, here's the plan. Right? I'm going to detail your career for you. So you're going to go to Rio, you're going to retire, you're going to take a year off, and at the end of 2017 you're going to come back for bobsledding. And he just laughed me to scorn. So I don't think that's going to work very well. But we do have this idea, though, of trying to attract some of our summer athletes. Now, Rio just ended, and so seriously speaking, the World Championships are next year. Mm-hmm. So I think after the World Championships, we may be able to win some of them over. There's a shorter stretch to 2018 Pyeongchang.
Yeah, you're one of the things that obviously very famous is the movie Cool Runnings. Do you ever show that to the next generation?
No, I think they've all seen it. I think so.
You're not going to sit them around a TV and say, "Hey, boys, this is."
And I think sometimes it's kind of like parents know this when you're talking to your kids about how it used to be in the good old days and the things they used to have to do to succeed and so on, and the kids kind of roll their eyes. They do that to me. So I'm like, so I go, I know you guys don't want to hear about 88, but we were hungry, we were focused, and they just kind of roll their eyes like, we're better athletes than you guys anyway. So.
Now, speaking of the movie, I've always wondered this. What's kind of the most outlandish thing that's in the movie that didn't happen in real life?
That's a really good question. I can think of a couple. The whole business of the team training in Jamaica on this rickety cart going down a hill. Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. Nobody does that. And I mean, it doesn't resemble bobsledding in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Well, there are some things that they did that we wish we had thought about, like some of the fundraising strategies, and out in the town selling kisses. Like, could have been a fun fundraising event. The cooking in the Olympic Village, certainly the fight and that bar scene didn't happen, wouldn't have happened.
Now, one of the things too that is so interesting that you can take from this, obviously what you did as an Olympian is very serious endeavor, and it's something that has inspired a lot of people. One of the things that you talk about in your presentation is that mindset. How does someone get that type of mindset that you have to kind of overcome what you do and set goals like you do?
I just think that, first of all of us have that ability, that potential inside of us to really rise above whatever those circumstances are. And I think when you, first of all, set a goal, and I often see a goal as, these are my circumstances, I don't like them, and I like something else. I often draw analogies. It's kind of across the street and I need to go across there because that's better. Mm-hmm. And so now you have to internalize that desire. And once you internalize that desire for that goal, that those circumstances that are better, it begins to grow, to get stronger as you focus on it more and more. It begins to build your own confidence in your abilities to make it happen, and that creates that success mindset, that belief that, if I just try, not suggesting that it's going to be easy, but if I try, it will happen.
Who did you learn that success mindset from?
Whenever I'm asked a question like this or a similar one, I blame my grandmother. So I spent my early years with her, and she was an amazing storyteller, and she would tell me these stories of, especially soldiers, which is one of the things that inspired me to join the Army. They could do these amazing feats, and not get injured, and so I wanted to become a soldier. But I think more than that, it fired up my little 5-year-old imagination and made me want to do things that everybody else think is difficult or impossible. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned over the years is that as you attempt these things, you do, as I said, start believing that you can actually do them, as outlandish as or impossible as they may seem, and it just kind of become part of your DNA.
Mm-hmm. What role? So Sandhurst, for those watching, is like the British equivalent of West Point.
Indeed.
What did you learn there? What effect did that have on you?
Sandhurst, a lot actually. I learned leadership. So I wanted to be an Army officer, and I remember in high school, very concerned because I didn't think I was a good leader, and I always saw some of my friends as these natural born leaders, because I didn't see myself as that assertive kind of guy. And then at Sandhurst I said, hey, leadership is actually something that you can learn. Leaders aren't born, they're made. And so that gave me the confidence and the knowledge to recognize that if I actually work on this like any other skill, I could actually do some leading of my own. And in fact, that I was already a leader, even though I had not seen myself that way. I talk about bobsledding all the time and how difficult that first time was, 1988, and the fact that the thing that got me through wasn't my athletic prowess. It was my training at Sandhurst, because we went through long periods of intense physical activity with very little rest. And so you learn to develop that mental toughness to push your body, and that's what we had to do back in '88. So that was a really, really important takeaway from Sandhurst.
Had you not gotten involved in athletics as much as you did, would you have continued on in a military career, or what would you be doing?
Yes, I think if you had asked me what I would 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you had asked me what I'd be doing today, I'd tell you I'd still be in the military. That's how I saw my life going. I mean, yes, I did become an Olympian, and it is true that growing up, the two driving goals, the two things that pulled me was to become an Army officer and to become an Olympian. But I kind of saw the Olympic thing as, a one-off, I'll do that, but yeah, the Army career was a driving force.
Now I'm curious to know, where did your grandma, telling you these stories at 5 about the military, where did she get these stories from?
That's a really good question. Unfortunately, she died when I was really young, so she never got to see any of the successes at all. My grandmother, I say this all the time. Her greatest wish was to see me learn how to read. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, I call her Mama. Mama, I've actually written a couple of books. I think I've learned to read well. But yeah, she just, so in Jamaica, the military is really well respected, and she was a country bumpkin, and so that caused her to hold the army in even higher esteem. So it would have been really cool if she could have seen her grandson in army garb.
Yeah. What do you think? You've done so many things. What do you think she or other people in your family would be most proud of?
That's a really good question. I think maybe she would just be very proud that her grandson can read. It's a really good. Maybe the fact that I'm an Olympian. Maybe it's the army. My brother said something to me a couple years ago that made me go, wow. So I grew up in a really rough neighborhood in Kingston, and a lot of the younger guys, they got caught up in gangs and guns and so on and so forth. And so he tells me that he was having this conversation with my mom, and he said to her, Devon is the only one of us who have fired a gun. In other words, I was in the army, and yes, I fired weapons. They didn't join gangs. But what it said to me was that the example that I set for them kind of steered their lives away from that. So, maybe they wouldn't articulate it that way, but I think that is one of the things that they would probably be proud of. It's not so much the things that the rest of the world recognizes me for, but, the things that somebody wouldn't necessarily see on the face of it.
Yeah. And, kind of those things, talking about the mindset and about leadership, when you're talking about teamwork, because obviously you can't have a team without a leader, but what are the things, when you're part of a team, what makes a team successful to you?
I think first of all is the vision, that thing that the team wants to accomplish. That's the galvanizing thing. There is nothing that's a more powerful agent for attracting and keeping talented people than a clear vision. And that's true especially when the team is accomplishing its goals. And then, so when you get people buying into that vision, and but also while they're pursuing that vision, having an opportunity to accomplish their own personal goals. As I say all the time, we all listen to the same radio station, WIIFM, right? So what's in it for me? So if and people will go to hell and back for you and the team for the team to accomplish the goals if in that process it's not a guarantee, but they have a reasonable sense that they have a reasonable shot of accomplishing their own goals as well. That really makes a team work. Teamwork makes the dream work, kind of thing. And so, but I hasten to add though that having the right people on the team as well is key, and that could be a more tricky, nuanced thing, because you can't, we often, whether it's bobsledding or a sales team or whatever, you kind of hire people based on their resume. So in bobsledding, it would be what the guy or girl does on the team trials, the times that they run, that's a resume. But then you also have to pay attention to that gut, right? What does your gut tell you about that person? And sometimes you go against the instinct and you go, wow, yeah, because the resume is so brilliant, right? But it doesn't work out very well because they're not team players.
Now I have one last question. This kind of reminded me. What made me think of this is you're talking about in Jamaica you're Devon, and in the U.S. you're Devon. So there's the, so I go to a church where the pastor is Australian. So just like you, speaks perfect English, but when he goes through a drive-through, no one can understand him. So he's had to develop this what he calls his drive-through voice. So do you have a drive-through voice where you fake an American accent to get?
No, it's I've been here for so long, man, and I'll open my mouth and people go, so where are you from? Oh, you're in Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Yeah, I'm like, that accent again. Can't seem to get rid of it, but it's cool. I mean, I love my Jamaican accent, but it's really interesting. I think I was saying to you earlier that I didn't realize that my name could be spelled and pronounced in so many different ways until I moved here. So I answer to all of the above.
Yes, great. Well, Devon, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of that, being a part of this, and thank you for everybody who's watching, listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Beyond Speaking podcast. To learn more about today's guest, go to BeyondSpeak.com. Make sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you listen.